I'm in absolute shock right now. I am in absolute fucking shock. What the fuck did we just see? I'm literally... Wow. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight I'm going to be giving you guys the results from the final pay-per-view of 2020 TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. I'm in absolute shock with that last match. So, before I get to that, we got to talk about the rest of the card. So, we kick things off with the kickoff show announced earlier today on social media. Chad Gable, Daniel Bryan, Big E, Otis against Baron Corbin, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn. I'm just gonna go straight into how it ended. Sami Zayn tagged in, trying to go for the pin. Daniel Bryan ends up getting the tag to Big E, making the tag to Big E. Big E had pinned Sami Zayn with the big ending in the 8-man tag. And we now know that this Friday on SmackDown, it's going to be Big E versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental title. That, honestly, is well deserved for Big E. I'm still trying to get over what happened. Big shout outs to Big E. Hell of a victory. Much well deserved. But we kick things off with, the main card off with the first of only 2 TLC matches on the card. This one was for the WWE title. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles. Hell of a match. So many combustible elements came in. Drew McIntyre was climbing the ladder. Miz got involved. Miz cashed in Money in the Bank. It became a triple threat. Almost came in, put Miz through a table. Morrison took a chair and hit almost in the back. But the chair broke in full. Literally, it completely disintegrated. Which honestly I thought was hilarious. But even with that, McIntyre still retained the WWE title, climbed the ladder, took the title, and he is going into 2021 as WWE champion, which is incredible, absolutely incredible. So now Miz, I believe he's the, let's see, there was John Cena, there was Damian Sandow, there was Baron Corbin, there was Braun Strowman, and now Otis? Technically Otis, but The Miz. The Miz is the 5th man in history to have failed to capture a world championship via the Money in the Bank briefcase. The 5th man in history. I guess Miz shouldn't have won the briefcase from Otis. Maybe Otis should have kept it. But that's karma for you. That's karma. Drew McIntyre retains. Next up, we have the SmackDown Women's title on the line. Sasha Banks versus Carmella. Obviously, with Carmella Chevalier, I think what did the commentary team say his name was? Reginald Thomas or something like that. Something like that. I don't know. But even with that Chevalier of hers, Carmella, closing moments, still tapped out to the bank statement for Sasha to retain the SmackDown Women's title. And yeah, Carmella was not happy about it. Sasha Banks was celebrating. Hell of a victory. I'm surprised that Sasha Banks has held the title for this long, given the fact that every time, and this is something that I mentioned in my prediction video, I think it was this past Wednesday, which you guys can check out if you have not already. I mentioned that when it comes to a championship in the main roster, Sasha Banks always holds the title for at least a month and then ends up dropping the title. This time she's held it since Hell in a Cell. So October, November. So 2 months. She's held the title for 2 months, which is incredible. Which is absolutely incredible. By the way, she could very well hold on to the title until WrestleMania, which would be the first time in her career that she's walking in a WrestleMania with a singles championship in WWE. This would be her first. This would be, I guess, her debut, so to speak, as women's champion. She's entered WrestleMania as women's tag team champion, but never as the Raw or SmackDown women's champion. In fact, every single one of her WrestleMania matches she has lost. Obviously, dating all the way back to 2016, WrestleMania 32, when Charlotte beat both Sasha and Becky to remain champion, but as women's champion and not the Divas champion. And with that in mind, speaking of tag teams, we move on to the Raw tag team titles. The New Day versus the Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. What I find so interesting is that the Hurt Business, in their hearts, they felt like that this was their last shot at the Raw tag team titles, which is interesting because when you think about it, Shelton Benjamin has not had, and Tom Phillips on commentary mentioned it. Shelton Benjamin has not been tag team champion in 17 years. So let's see. 17 years. So that was around like 2003, 2004. Right around there. That's insane. That's insane. And at that time, he was tag team champions with Charlie Haas, not just as part of Team Angle, but as part of the world's greatest tag team, which, hey, you know. But since then, he's won multiple Intercontinental titles, multiple United States titles. He's been in multiple Money in the Bank ladder matches. Not just at WrestleMania, but at the pay-per-view itself, called Money in the Bank. And with everything that the New Day threw at the Hurt Business over the last several weeks and tonight, Cedric Alexander tagged Shelton Benjamin. He got into the match, hit Kofi Kingston with the lumbar check, picked up the 1-2-3, and not only became the Raw Tag Team Champions, but they now hold damn near every title, every men's title on Raw, except for one, that being the WWE title. So the big question is, between Bobby Lashley and MVP, who's going to be taking the title? Honestly, I think MVP, because he hasn't had a shot at the WWE Championship in years. In fact, the last time he had a shot at the title, I believe he was locked inside an elimination chamber to challenge for said title, which was a long time. In fact, it was what? Let's see, we're in 2020. I want to say about 12 years, actually. I want to say about 12 years? 12, 13 years, somewhere in there? Right around there. So, MVP could challenge for the WWE title come Royal Rumble, which is a possibility. But speaking of tag teams, we move on to the women's tag team titles, and this was interesting because Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler over the last like several months, over the last couple of months, has treated Lana with disrespect. Nia Jax putting Lana through the announce table, what, 9 times? 9 times in 9 weeks. Hella crazy. Going back to Survivor Series, Lana was forced to stand on the steps while Lacey Evans, Jackson Baszler, and Peyton Royce took care of business. They took care of business all right in Survivor Series, but they ended up doing it for Lana as she became the sole survivor for her team when both Jax and Bianca Belair both got counted out. Crazy enough. And since then, Nia Jax has been pissed off. And so this past Monday on Raw, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler not only took out Lana's leg, but also her arm, just completely dismantled her. And we found out earlier this week, actually, that she's going to be out of action for at least a couple months. So it's interesting because earlier on in the show, Billie Kay was interested in becoming Asuka's tag team partner, but Asuka said, "Sorry, spot's been filled." And who filled the spot? None other than the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Yes, woo! Charlotte Flair returns for the first time in nearly 6 months. Has it been 6 months? I think it's been 6 months. Let's go all the way back. Let's see. I think, yes, I believe so. Hang on. Money in the Bank. So it's been since TakeOver in Your House that she's been at a pay-per-view event. Yeah, literally, yeah. So it's been since NXT TakeOver in Your House that she's been at a pay-per-view event. And ironically enough, she lost the NXT Women's title to Io Shirai when she pinned, I believe she pinned Rhea Ripley, didn't she? Yeah, she pinned Rhea Ripley to become NXT Women's Champion. So it's been since TakeOver in Your House that she's been at a pay-per-view, and this is the first time. And honestly, she looked amazing in the ring. It looked like she had not missed a step. Nia Jax was an absolute shock because if you guys remember, Nia Jax was the one that quote unquote took her out of action back in the summer, like in early summer. And with everything that Jackson Baszler gave Charlotte Flair and Asuka in that match, Charlotte Flair hit Baszler with natural selection to pick up the 1, 2, 3. And this is interesting because Asuka is now I believe she is the third woman to hold the tag team titles twice, but now Charlotte Flair is the only woman in history to hold every women's championship in WWE alongside Asuka. I'm talking the NXT Women's title, the Raw Women's title, the SmackDown Women's title, the Women's Tag titles, but also keep in mind Charlotte Flair also held the Divas Championship back when it was the Divas division. But of course, Asuka, being the fact that she also won the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match and won Money in the Bank back in May, or what was it back in May? I think back in June. Wasn't it? Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see, that was March. WrestleMania was April. Yeah, so back in May. It was back in May. Back in May. Which was insane. Honestly, this is incredible for Charlotte Flair. Because again, we hadn't seen Charlotte Flair in months. And for her to return as Asuka's partner, I think it's incredible. But keep in mind with the fact, and I talked about this, and I had mentioned this before over the last couple years. Charlotte Flair and Asuka, well, I wouldn't say hated each other, but had a mutual respect for one another because of the fact that Charlotte Flair was the one that ended Asuka's streak at WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans. And ironically enough, after that, about a couple years later or something like that, they completely hated each other, beat the holy hell out of each other. Now they're together as tag team partners, which is very, very interesting. I'm very curious to see how that team is going to coexist, given the fact that Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion, and we all know Charlotte Flair. She wants some gold. It is possible though that Charlotte Flair, given the fact that she now holds the tag titles, she can go to SmackDown and challenge Sasha for the SmackDown Women's title, making her a 13-time champion, which is a very high possibility. But I'm curious, but we will find out starting tomorrow night on Raw how this will play out. But again, congrats to Asuka and Charlotte Flair winning the tag titles. Hell of an impressive victory. And speaking of impressive victories, this match, I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this. Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, TLC, the second TLC match, this time for the Universal title. We all knew, here's the thing, we all knew, and I think I mentioned this in my prediction video on Wednesday, we knew that Roman Reigns was going to have Jey Uso get involved in the match. Roman Reigns was going to have Jey Uso help Reigns retain the title, and Kevin Owens, here's the thing, I'm just as big of a fan as Kevin Owens as the next guy, but Kevin Owens was way in over his head, because even though he took out Jey Uso's leg and completely dismantled both men, Roman Reigns still kept getting up, Kevin Owens still kept getting up, and even with everything that they put, even with all the help that they put against each other, at the closing moments of the match, Roman Reigns, on top of the ladder, made Kevin Owens pass out with the guillotine. Kevin Owens' body just went limp, went down onto the mat, slowly grabbed the title, still Universal Champion. Let me just state for the fact that eventually, and I'm saying this out of respect for Roman Reigns, for his reign as champion, eventually having the help of Jey Uso will bite him in the ass in the end at some point, because as we all know, Goldberg was in an interview like not too long ago or something like that, and he mentioned that he wants to face Roman Reigns for the title to see who has the better spear. Is it Reigns or is it Goldberg himself? Personally, I think Goldberg has the better spear, just because it's more impactful than Reigns' spear. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think on that? Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, that happens. Again, eventually it will continue to. Eventually, at some point, it's going to bite Roman Reigns in the ass, and he's going to lose the title at some point. He may end up losing it at the Royal Rumble, which is a very high possibility. But with that being said, this is where I'm tripping out right now, because this match, the last match on the card, I'm literally tripping the fuck out because of how the match ended. Randy Orton, The Fiend, Firefly Inferno match. We found out the rules. No pinfalls, no submissions, no countouts, no DQ. How do you win? Pretty much the same as any other Inferno match. Just set your opponent on fire and call it a night. Randy Orton and The Fiend beat the hell out of each other, and The Fiend at one point in the match took a fucking pickaxe and damn near killed Randy Orton. Literally, damn near. Which, honestly, that was kind of bizarre, because seriously, a pickaxe? Who the hell brings a pickaxe to a match like that? You know, I mean, a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire, a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire, that's one thing, okay? So, you know, something like that, that's one thing. But a pickaxe? Really? Really? It was insane. And then, of course, Randy Orton was sitting in the chair, in the rocking chair that Bray Wyatt had brought into the ring with him over the years. The Fiend literally started the fire. Randy Orton just bailed. And at the end of it all, Randy Orton not only set the Fiend on fire from the outside of the ring, but the Fiend, stomach first, face first onto the canvas, completely lifeless. Randy Orton kicked him onto his back, poured in some gasoline on the Fiend, and set his ass on fire. Literally, just right in the middle of the ring. His whole body was on fire. I swear, and I had mentioned this in one of my news videos sometime last week. I want to say I want to say this was back on Friday. Yeah, this was back on this was back on Friday when I announced that there was going to be a fire that match that stipulation was going to be added. I mentioned that it was going to potentially be cinematic, and I think that's what they did. I think that's what they did, but yeah, that's what happened. Randy Orton stood on top of the Fiend, did his pose, and that was it. That was it. That's how the night ended. But I'm literally like losing my mind on that. That was just absolutely horrible. You know, and of course too, the Raw commentators, you know, Byron Saxton, Tom Phillips, and Samoa Joe were all like, dude, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And even I was like, Randy, I literally said to myself that if Randy Orton did that to the Fiend, there was no turning back. And he ended up doing it anyway, so yeah, there's no turning back for Randy Orton. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Question of the day, what are your guys' thoughts on TLC? And what do you think we can expect from WWE going into 2021 after TLC? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All 3 links will be down in the description. And if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, because 2021, I will be doing fan mail. I'm saying it now, I will be doing fan mail. I'll be opening up, you know, mail from you guys. So if you guys have any fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, you guys can send me anything you want. My address will be at the top. Will also be in the description. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.